What's good, y'all? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone had a pretty good week last week, and if you didn't, I hope you have a good one this week. Mine was mine was pretty cool. Learned a lot about myself, discovered some things, uh had some clarity that I probably needed, so that's always dope. So I hope everyone has a good week this week, and I hope people get the answers that they're looking for. I just want to reiterate a couple of Instagram pages. Maybe I wasn't clear last week. If you're looking for an edible plug, holla at my boy Elevated Eats. His page is on Instagram. It's Elevated Eats _. He makes deliveries to Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn. I'm sure if you live outside of that, you guys can make some type of arrangements. But yeah, go holla at my man's Elevated Eats. I was talking to one of my boys yesterday. Treats him good. The meals are good. The treats are good. Go holla at my boy. Go give my son some business, and go holla at my boy Trey's page, Uncle Trey, dope ass rapper. Got some new merch coming on the way, so go give my two boys a page. And this is my other son. It's my boy EJ. It's your shirt, homie. I got your hoodie hanging in my closet. Obviously, I'm gonna bring that out in the winter time, but I'm always gonna rep for my people. So go check that out. Let's get right into some hip hop, some verses real quick. I could not watch the Lox versus Dipset battle because it came on during the time where I was sleeping, getting ready for work, so I couldn't see it. I caught kind of like the tail end on Instagram when I got to work, and it was pretty dope. But I'm probably in the minority on this one. I'm not really interested in verses like that. That's just me. But this is one of those where I was up for. I was definitely up for Beanie and Bounty Killer, and I've seen a few others, but this is one that I wanted to see, and for reasons that played out exactly how I knew they would. When the verses between the two of them dropped, I said it on the Saturday on my Instagram, and I said it a couple other times, replying to a bunch of people. I guess they were asking the question. I knew Lox was gonna spank that behind over Dipset. I knew Lox was gonna win. Dipset was the heavy favorite. They're the more, I guess, popular group. They're the more flashy. I guess they're the more, maybe they're the more mainstream group than the Lox. But it's what I told my boy Bravo. I told Terrence and Brian this yesterday, and it's truth. Dipset is that group that you listen to when you was on your way to high school. People grew up on the Lox. I grew up on the Lox. Alright? I'm one of those kids who grew up on old school reggae and old school hip hop and even old school soca at an early age. I was exposed to that stuff early. Some of the hip hop, or a lot of the hip hop, I had to sneak. I had to get my mom's Walkman, go to Hot 97, and whenever she was asleep, or if we were going somewhere and I asked to use the Walkman, that's what I was listening to, Hot 97. I remember it ain't hard to tell when it was on the radio at the time I was of age. I remember Big. I remember the Lox, and when I heard the Lox versus Dipset, I just knew Lox was gonna win. They were talking about it on a few podcasts, and I just thought to myself, I love Santana's talent, but that's not a guaranteed point compared to what the Locks got. And you talking Jada, Styles, and Sheik. And people sleep on Sheik. People sleep on Sheik. Sheik is an MC. But the one of the main things that stood out, in which one of the reasons why I believed and knew the result was going to bear out the way it did, is because you hear me talk about it on Instagram, and if we've had conversations in person or via text or whatever, you know where I stand on this. When you take the craft of whatever that you're doing seriously compared to the guy or girl who's too cool for school, the one who takes the craft seriously is always going to win. And people, it's one of those things where I had a conversation with my homeboy long ago, and I understood what he meant, but I just vehemently disagree with that. When people say you can't judge effort. Well, it was on full display at the battle, because you can tell Cam may want to be there, and you can tell Jim and Juelz, they came in too cool for school. Juelz legitimately looked like the pile of clothes that you put on your bed. He looked like a clown. During the fight starts before the fight. So Jim was worried about how his sneakers was looking and all this flying fashion stuff, and Styles and Jada just like, yo, I'm gonna knock your head off with bars. Even Sheik was like to Angie, like, yo, what they gonna do? Play ballin' 20 times? Like, they were prepared, and you can tell in the Jada versus Fab battle. I don't rank Fab as high as people do. I'm not that big of a Fab fan, but I know the guy got some hits and got some joints. But Fab didn't come prepared. And you talking to Jedis, you talking to lyricists, you talking to senseis of this rap game. And you know the Locks was going to come prepared. It was like old school versus new school in terms of that battle, even though Cam been in the game for a long time. You know? I remember where I was when you talking about I grew up on Locks as opposed to Dipset I played on the way to high school. I remember the details of the day when I heard Styles P Good Times. I remember the details of the day. It was a Saturday. It was the Sabbath. It was a Saturday. Me and Mom stayed home. I don't think Brother Archibald, Grandpa, rest in peace, he ain't feel like going to church that day, so we stayed home. Either that or my mom was like, we're not going to church Saturday. We're not going to church today. We're just going to chill out at the house. And I remember where I was. The only thing I can't remember is how old I was at the time, because I don't have the reference right now to see when the track dropped. But I remember when I heard it on the radio for the first time. It was a new joint. My mom's was sleeping in her room. I was in the living room. I had a bike. We was in our old apartment, 3520 Oliver Avenue, apartment 3H. Gun Hill Road. Shout out to the Boogie. And in the living room, in front of the window, there's the radiator, and I had a bike in front of it. And oftentimes, especially on the Saturday if we stayed home, this was, I think, the summer, I would sit on my bike in the living room. It was facing this way, front of the radiator, and I would just sit in front of the window and just watch the cars go by, and I would kind of car shop. I want this car, I want that car, and just take in the scenery. And I remember going to my mom's room, or maybe it was somewhere in the living room. I remember getting the Walkman, Hot 97, and it was a nice day outside. It was maybe like 5, 6, maybe even a little earlier. Sun beaming on the building across the street. And I get high, 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 I get high. I remember. I get high, high, high every day. I remember. Wow, wow. I remember We Gon' Make It. I remember Knock Yourself Out. I remember all of that. And I just knew, based on that, plus they got songs with Biggie. They got songs with Biggie. They got songs with DMX. They part of the Rough Riders camp. I remember Mighty D Block. Like, Dipset had no chance. I don't know why people thought Dipset was the odds-on favorite. Maybe not the heavy favorite, but the betting majority people was picking Dipset to win. And y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. But it just goes to show, man, there's levels to this thing, man. Any game or situation that you're involved in, it don't matter if you're doing hair, it don't matter if you're playing ball, it don't matter if you're in your schoolwork, it don't matter if you're driving, it don't matter what you're doing. That's not to say that you're less than or you're inferior if you can't match the level of other people, but don't get it twisted. There are levels to this, okay? And I know the internet wants to act like everyone is equal and everyone is the same and blah, 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 blah. No, that's not how life works. That's not how it goes up. There are levels to this. And The Lock showed you that as great as Dipset is, we on another level. And you can tell in their performance. You saw it. And Dipset should have never been pit against the Locks. These is MCs. None of Dipset are MCs. Okay? And just as much as Dipset probably left stuff on the table, don't get it twisted. The Lock showed plenty of mercy. Alright? They showed plenty of mercy. Fat Joe's recall and recap of the verses is mwah. Alright? You can tell he a Bronx nigga. Okay? You can just tell he a Bronx nigga. And so, you know, I believe that's why a lot of top tier guys and even ladies are not doing verses against certain people. It's like, don't mention my name. Don't call my name. I'm going to destroy you. I believe that sincerely. I made an untouchable list on Facebook sometime last year around the time Versus was first taken off. And it's one of those things where it's like the only way for them to have a verse is if they have to battle each other, because they're aliens. They're aliens. They have to battle each other, because the rest of these guys, you're gonna get washed. You're gonna get washed. Like, what ordinary guy want problems with Hove? Hove has to go against his peer group. Hove has to go against someone like Eminem, Drake, Lil Wayne, where it's gonna be a guaranteed hit for hit, right? Because any mere mortal call on the name Slim, you're going down 20 zip. Now, I know how I feel about Shady, but this is not about my love for Shady. This is just about the art of MCing. And we'll get to that. I'll tell you why later on. But it's about the art of MCing. It's about what it was back in Cedric Avenue when it first started. Get the party rocking. Your lyrics, your MCs, your presentation. It's all encompassing. You guys know I'm big on that. Internet likes to pick and choose when certain things matter. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It don't work like that. It do not work like that. You don't get to pick and choose when certain things apply, especially when it comes down to competition. This is a competition at the end of the day. And the 2 times Jadakiss has been involved in verses, he took it seriously. And salute to you, Jadakiss, and salute to you, Lox. This is what I'm talking about. I love the fact that you embarrass these niggas. I love it. I love it. For all you people who say you can't judge effort, get that mentality out of there. You don't want your effort judged because you know you're not giving your full 110%. You know it. And so you don't want nobody to call you out on it. And so everybody, you pan to the default response of, oh, everybody, don't judge my effort because you don't want to be held accountable. All these things that going on with ladies and stuff like that on the internet and too hard on them. Well, fellas, this is for you. That was a master class of a psychology of different things. That was a master class. Because even when Dipset had points, especially toward the end, they had points. By that time, it was already too late. They didn't play Dipset Anthem. They didn't, well, I'm not sure, but they didn't play More Than Music, and that's a banger. They didn't play a lot of joints, right? It's that jokes over facts thing I'll be trying to tell y'all about. It seeped into our psyche, and now we really think the joke or the lie is more valuable than the truth or the competitiveness of the thing we doing, because favorite or funny, see, we'll get into that, but the bottom line is there are levels to this, and you saw it on full display on the verses, and I'm happy that it went how it went, because Dipset should have never been put in a conversation with the Lox. You are not on their level. No matter how popular you are, you ain't on their level. Good is good. Great is great. And it's one of those things where, you just got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. Speaking of honesty, shout out to the U.S. Olympic team. They brought back gold. And I like that there was a little bit of adversity in the beginning. I was not concerned, or I was not the sheep on social media or TV in general who like to effing overreact and panic after everything because they have to say something. I was not worried about USA. I didn't care for the losses because when it come down to it, we were going to win. It just wasn't going to be as easy as before because the world has caught up. But I wasn't concerned. But it's just funny. The minute you lose a game or the minute you don't live up to something, niggas just come ready to pounce. That's just like, and it don't matter at what level, right? Y'all know I'm on my Jordan Peterson psychology tip lately. He talks about it a lot in terms of class and how people think, and when you're at the bottom of in poverty and stuff like that, no matter where you are, you're gonna act like it. The higher you go up, the more you're gonna feel better about yourself, the elevated you are and stuff like that. But even within that structure, the minute you fail or the minute you lose a game, people have been ready and waiting to pounce. And you see it on USA. Kendrick Perkins annoys the hell out of me, and I do not want him on TV. I don't give a damn how funny he is. Funny don't mean accurate. Alright? And he just be on TV effing chatting. Okay? And when he's confronted with wrong, he'll say, carry the hell on, or whatever he say. That's a nice, cute little catchphrase, but you be off, my guy. And him and Nick Wright and all these other guys, or Colin Cowherd, I don't think this is why athletes push back on media personalities when they say, yo, you didn't play because you just be chatting. Just be chatting. Now, part of the reason why USA was struggling in the beginning, which is why I was happy that it happened early, was because I fully believe the referees, first of all, the game is different. There are 5 fouls instead of 6, and they allow a lot more physical play. So all this begging, you go shoot a ball, or you drive to the basket and you turn into the ref with your hand out begging for a call. The referees over there like, and they're not scared of you. Have you guys ever turned on the news or turned on your Instagram or YouTube stuff and see how referees are treated over in other countries or in the islands? They get death threats. I'm not laughing or saying it's a good thing. I'm just simply saying, compared to the begging that our athletes do, they can take the begging. I don't have to respond to your call. I'm not calling it the way you want me to call it. Play the game. And I truly believe at first they couldn't handle the physicality. Straight up, they couldn't handle it. And everyone talking about Popovich. Popovich has been cooking for 20 years consecutively. I know Tim Duncan ain't there. Well, obviously when you have one of the greatest players of all time, and then you have one of the great players in the NBA smoothly transitioning together, when Duncan retires and when Kawhi did what he did because he quit on the Spurs, you're going to have a little adversity. It's gonna happen. It's like, I don't know why you guys have to panic and give an impulsive take to give an impulsive take. But it's the need to be right as opposed to be the need to be correct and factual as much as possible. You know where I stand on that. But yeah, USA basketball, they did what they were supposed to do. They did what they did. Shout out to Middleton and Booker and Holiday for jumping on a plane coming from the finals and winning gold and playing your ass off. Salute to you guys. But yeah, I mean, I was never concerned or panicked about USA ball. So hearing all these takes, and I saw Draymond on Instagram this morning. Get your stuff off, bro. Get your stuff off. Call them out. This is when it's appropriate for the athlete to call these guys out, because you doubted us. You panicked, you came on your platform and you spoke and you chatted just to simply chat. And y'all talking nonsense. And I keep trying to tell y'all, you want to hear the truth, you want to hear objectivity, you want to hear things that got common sense in their head, come to this page. Word is bond. I'll never lie to you. I ain't got time for that. I'm 30 years old. I'm trying to be a better person daily. For the good or for bad, for the good and the bad, this brain right here is constantly moving 24/7, 365. I ain't got time to just be chatting to chat or spew a nonsense on a platform just so people can hold my tweets or my Facebook and say, hey, this dummy said this back years ago. I'm not always right, but y'all know how I give it up. You want to learn, you want to engage in great conversation, subscribe to this page, come to this page, talk to me on my Instagram. Let's get it. Because these guys on television and on social media, they're addicted to their phone. They have to say something. They gotta say something. They can't help it. They can't help it. Alright? They can't help themselves. Twitter, it was designed for that, right? You get 140 characters. Now I'm sure it's maybe, 280? I think they doubled it. And it's whole entire design is for you to say something in the immediate. It don't got to be factual. It don't got to be correct. All emotion and impulse. And what you have now is television media and movie media competing with online because of how fast it picks up. And now the people who use the app have completely lost their mind and changed. I was thinking about it yesterday. Because I say people, the internet is stupid, but it's like the internet is just a platform, it's a place. The people who use the internet are the ones who are saying these things or doing these things. But it's like, for some reason, as human beings, the minute we get our phone in our hand and we use Snapchat or we use Facebook, we use Twitter, we use any form of social media, we just completely become different people. I'm guilty of it, right? I didn't necessarily like everything I was saying or doing or who I became when I was heavy on Facebook at a specific age, especially when I was going through certain stuff, and even on Twitter. I hated going back and forth, having to defend the honor of Kobe or Carmelo or whatever, but just like, you don't know more than me. I'm sorry. You don't. You do not know more about sport than me. I'm sorry. You don't. You didn't put in the time and effort and energy that I spent. You don't know what I went through. You don't know what it means to me. You don't know why I love it. You don't. You don't know about it more than me. You don't. I'm sorry. 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 I learned from Eric D'Souza. Eric D'Souza played the game of basketball. He played college ball. I learned from Hugh. I learned from Pat. I learned from Colin. I learned from all these guys who played it at certain levels, who played it at a collegiate level, who played against women. Eric told a story in practice one time about how his D3 team played the women's D3 team, and they thought they were just going to mop the floor with them, and they played and the girls whooped their ass. Yeah, nigga, that's learning. Like Migo, just a little bit of straightening, right? That's learning. I'm a big WNBA fan. I've been watching football since how long? I've been watching baseball since how long? There are a lot of people on the internet who know sports, and not just myself. But when I hear y'all talk on the internet, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. And it's alright. Y'all are just fans. Listen, I don't know about real estate. I don't know about finances. I don't know about a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to claim to be an expert. But when it comes to sport, you can't hold a candle to the God. Alright? Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Sorry. Sorry. So, ignore these guys on TV. They don't know what they're talking about. Ignore Kendrick Perkins. Ignore these flip-flopping, wishy-washy guys. They just chatting, dog. They just chatting. Now, I told you I've been going in on Jordan Peterson and watching this stuff online, and I'm in chapter 4 of his book, 12 Rules for Life. And one of the things he was discussing this week when I was reading, and I wrote it down, he was talking about, he made reference to Adam and Eve and the fall of man in my readings this week. And it's important, the psychology of man and why people do what they do is important. And before I go into what I'm saying, one of my discoveries this week was that when I was a kid, I was really into psychology. Like I said, my brain processes things very quickly, for good and for worse. It drives me mad sometimes that, like I said, I wish I can just turn it off, but it comes with it. I accept what comes with it, right? This is God's blessing. He blessed me with this ability to think and process things at a elite level or at an intellectual level. I'm not saying I'm some great intellectual or nothing like that, or I'm smarter than anyone, but I do know I'm smart. I do know I'm intelligent, right? I'm not gonna dumb myself down for anybody. But I know it's not on my own merit. It's God. God gave this to me, and I'm grateful for it every day. I wouldn't want it any other way. Right? So part of one of the discoveries this week was that I really want to just go head first into psychology. It's definitely one of my passions, and I'm definitely gonna follow that. Where it takes me, I hope it takes me. I hope I can continue it with sports, psychology and sports, and help people and teach and do certain things. But I'm all in on that, right? But one of the things that I had learned this week while reading, he was talking about Adam and Eve and the fall. And he was talking about free will and choices and conversation. And he took it back to the garden a little bit. And it's about getting to know self and pushing self, right? And this goes back to when I was in high school, maybe sophomore or between my sophomore and senior year. Shout out to Pastor Pileggi. For those of y'all who went to grade or who know Pastor P, that's my guy. Salute to you. And when he said it in religion class, I had never considered it, but it made sense, right? In terms of the fall of man, right? He had to have a plan. God had to have a plan before he created everything, right? And so this plan for Christ to die on the cross for our sins was in motion long before he said, "Let there be light." God is not a God who's going to wing it. He's not a reactionary God. He's God of order. And he's always going to do things in order. Right? And when I'm talking about the fall of man, God knew the price or the consequences of free will, and he understood it before he even gave it to us. And I believe that not that he baited us into doing something, but he just knew things would come at a cost, because when he told Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, free will, when the serpent came and tempted Eve and then ultimately got to Adam and they were both aware of their nakedness, stuff like that, I have to believe, or I would like to speculate that God knew that was going to happen all along. Right? Because he understands the price of free will. And ever since that moment in the garden, I just felt like he knew that we couldn't love him, obey him, but most importantly, love him unconditionally if I made you do it. If I made you love me, if I forced you to love me, if I made you perfect and with no capability to sin, or the choice not to sin, if I just made you perfect, you wouldn't love me as much. It would feel like a chore. You would just be going through the motions. And so his design was, okay, I'm going to give free will, but I know it's going to come at a price, and I have that price already paid for. And so mankind pushes themselves and they get to know themselves. We get to know ourselves, and we expand our knowledge, and we test things, and we F up, and we just push the limits of things. And then you got your corruption, you got your sin. It's all encompassing. You hear me say that all the time with verses, right? It's all encompassing. Stage presence was important. Stage presence for the Lox was just as important as them knowing their lyrics. Them being in good shape was just as important as them being in good lyrics. You see Styles P, he got his juice bar. I've ordered his stuff a couple of times. They work very well. Right? I remember watching a Styles and Joe pull-up episode, and Styles was talking about why he don't do certain things no more. He just very health conscious. You see Jadakiss in his pull-up bar joint. You see Sheek Louch is in shape. On the other side, you saw Dipset. They cared about what? They cared about looking good, looking fly, being funny, and it got handed to them. Right? Back to the Garden. Free will and the ability to get to know self and discovery and all of that, God is going to allow it. But at the end of the day, he also knows it comes at a price. And he paid the price. So we don't have to die for our own sins or atone for our own sins necessarily, right? But the point is, I just really believe, and it's really true when the Bible say, lead not on your own understanding. I just truly believe it's just like he knew what he was doing the whole time. Whole time. He didn't set us up. He didn't bait us. He didn't create evil. I know that's come up a lot of time. I had a conversation like that sometime last year with a good young lady friend of mine. And we was talking, and she asked the question, why did God create evil? And I had to let her know, he didn't create evil. Free will is free will, and it comes at a price. And, we are still paying the price of free will, but that whole free will and price and choice, it's about, I want you to love me. I want you to obey me. I want you to heed my warnings. I want you to go out in the world and to do good. You can do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But just understand that everything has a price. Good choices, bad choices. Hell, no choices is a choice. And no choices, doing nothing, comes at a price. And I truly believe that, and it's why I guess you can call it, passionate about these creeds in these philosophies online, man. Like, I know they sound dope. I know they look good. I know in the moment it resonates, it hits you. These things are short term and temporary, dog. Like, it's meant for that. Its whole entire design and the nature of it was for that, because they know, the people who make the app know, we're going to be on our phone all day. So I might as well hit them over the top with these memes and stuff like that. They know. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not poking at anybody. I'm guilty of it too. I'm still guilty of it. But because I'm guilty of it and aware of it, I can see it. Right? It's like I have a temper. So I can spot someone who has a temper. I know what all the symptoms look like. I know the facial expressions. I know the body language. I know the silence. I know it's like Jordan. I'm watching a couple of Jordan Peterson debates that he's having with people, and I can tell when people are kind of questioning or like twisting his words. He puts his head down. He gives a little smile. He's fighting it. He's resisting, and it's like, yeah. Because he said it. He has a temper. I could have told you that, but just by watching. I know what that looks like, because I have a temper. I know what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, I am very aware of the impact and the effects it's had on me and my personal being, right? And that's why I try to stay away from Facebook and all these things as much as possible. But like I say, in its design, it is meant for temporary and short term. It is meant to make you impulsive. It is meant to make you react and not think. It is meant to give in and to just cave into your feeling. And that feeling doesn't have to be just sadness or whatever. laughter, joy, anything that's in the immediate that makes you feel good. That's what it's designed for. And they prey off of that because they know we're hyper consumers, especially in the black community. Our dollar lasts the shortest amount of any culture. It's in its design. So that's one of the reasons why I'm passionate about these things, because it's like, again, I've said it. I don't have any of my own, but I love my niece Jade. That's like my daughter. I love my nephew Jalen. Little Naya, I love to death. My twin Maeve, my little homie, and their child Ryan. Like, I care for their future. I care for their future, right? And I don't want them to go through a period of life where a whole entire generation just ignores these little small minor details of personal being and interaction and how things work and how you treat people on. I don't want them to do that. Because when I was growing up, I hated being ignored or felt feeling shut out, and having to now, 30 years later, kind of quote-unquote heal and all this other nonsense because the previous generation forgot how to just treat people how you wanted to be treated and the effects of that. Not to mention government, not to mention schooling, and then us as black people throwing the extra caveat black. Right? I ain't want that. So it's important to me that, you know, I'm in on this psychology game and this sociology game, and, you know, it's important because an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, right? Measure twice, cut once, right? I'm big on these things. We got to start being proactive instead of always being reactionary. And part of me being proactive is learning and unlearning certain things. And that's why a lot of these creeds and philosophy just bother me. Because it's like, especially the people who swear by them, it's like the dope ass thought process and think piece and letter or whatever that will be written online sounds great. Tugs on your heartstrings to get you to think. At the end of the day, you're not a psychologist. You didn't study none of this. And then as I'm learning and reading and watching, I'm coming to find out that in certain school systems, especially in our country, the standards have dwindled in terms of essays and research papers. They have some of these papers, they have one citation. Some of these papers, they don't even have any citations no more. It's just all personal account and bias. And the minute it comes on the internet, it just spreads like wildfire, because who can argue emotion? That's one of the dangers about emotion, because it's like, I can't tell anybody how they're feeling, or I can't tell them that their feelings are wrong. But feelings, the reason why I don't like to judge things based on feelings, because they change. Again, I say it all the time. I don't feel like going to work every morning or every night. I do not feel like it. I despise when 10 p.m. come and I hear that damn iPhone alarm. I despise it. I hate it. I do not feel like going to work. But if I do not go to work, I do not get paid. I am not able to support my family or myself. I am not able to go and do things for the future. So how I feel does not matter. I have to move beyond that. Because once I get out of my bed, get my shower cap, roll in the shower, by the time I'm getting dressed and whatever, I'm already over my feeling of not wanting to go to work. Now, when I go to work, I hate certain things that go down at work in terms of the people who work there. But by and large, it's like, yo, how I feel doesn't matter. And what I mean by that is, again, you have to be able to move past that. That's just a gauge, or that's just like a warning signal, right? You have to be able to move past that wall. You have to be able to move past it. And so, these things online that always poke and trigger and just pull towards how you feel, they're off. They're short term. Some of them are legit, but more than not, they're not right. They're short term, temporary. And there's a specific why the genders are at war. I spoke about it earlier in the week, about this thing about what do you bring to the table. Like, enough. This is psychological warfare. Last year I was posting Art of War book pages, right? It's real. This is Art of War. Art of War. This can apply to anything. Relationships, business, sport, play, government. It's applicable everywhere. It's a mind thing. If you control, you know how it was when it was a slave. You control the mind, you control them, right? It's Art of War, man. And if we're not prepared, if we're not armed, if we're not paying attention and looking out for these things and making concerted efforts, the next generation is going to have to clean up our mess instead of making the world better and self-improvement and trying to get the best out of life. They're just going to be cleaning up our mess. We have all the advantages that our parents and grandparents didn't have. We have this internet. We have laptops. We have phones. We can use our phone anywhere we want. We have to think another way. We gotta go about and approach things another way. We can't just do things and double down because can't no one tell us what to do, and I'ma do me and all these other selfish and prideful creeds, man. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. And I was that guy. I remember many days sending a couple voice notes or talking to Pat, and then saying and feeling like, yo, pride was the only thing I had left. I couldn't give that up. Things were falling apart. I didn't know what the hell to do, and I'm still kind of dealing with the cleanup of it, right? Getting better, good days, bad days, whatever. But I just remember saying like, yo, pride is all I had left. Pride and self is all I had. I couldn't give that up. I gave that up. Who am I? But you realize it's not a healthy way. I have pride in self, but not pride to the point where I'm just going to completely ignore something that's off just because it's mine. I don't want to keep this poison just because it's my poison. It's poison. And if it's poison, it's not good. I gotta let it go. And that poison can be in the form of everything. I believe strongly in the black community. Part of the poison is money, despite the fact that we are struggling financially. It's used on us daily, 24/7, 365 as a weapon to like sell our soul and to just give ourselves up as a yard sale to anything. So we'll do anything for the check. We'll do anything for the bread, and we'll tell ourselves and convince ourselves and do certain things to justify why we should go after the bag. And completely make a effing ass of ourselves for the money. Make a complete fool of ourselves for the bread. Right? And these things have psychological damage to us as individuals, who then affect the community, because like it or not, people, we each have a responsibility to our community. We do. We do. And it's important that we get that together and we improve self. Like I said, I am under construction. I am an effing work in progress. I am nowhere near where I need to be. And maybe I'll never get there until Christ comes back. But it's going to be an ever-growing step forward, right? And I'm going to fail. I'm going to fall on my face. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to hurt people. Even if, let me not say hurt people. I'm never going to go into something going to hurt someone intentionally, but even just by strength of circumstance or nature of me doing something, I may hurt someone unintentionally, right? It's a part of the process. It can't be avoided. But you got to be aware of its social and psychological ramifications. And if we don't do it, it's going to affect our kids, man. You see it in the government all the time. These guys make all these COVID laws and restrictions, and us as the adults, we so wanted to be on Instagram to prove on, can't no one keep us inside, and I'm going to get the bag, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, what about your children who now have to go to public school? So they ain't shutting down school again. Our kids are going to be among each other. And our kids are going to be among teachers who are anti-vax. Think about it. You sent your child to school and the teachers are unprepared. They don't have it together because they're not vaccinated. This affects our kids. You come home from school, you pick them up from the bus, you pick them up from school, you walking home from school, you holding their hand, they see their friend, you give them a kiss on the cheek, you hug them, you ask them what they doing, you feed them, and you touching them. You engaging and you embracing whatever they got at school, or whatever they got on the playground, whatever they friend went home with or whatever, and they take it home to their friend, and they take it home to such and such, and that's how things spread. Because people are not educated, people are fake conspiracy theorists, people want to be contrarians, and people just want to be irresponsible. For what? So these things are important that we really pay attention to the psychology of things and how people work. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in. So I don't want to, if I talk to you and I feel like I'm your therapist, or I think, or if you get the thing that, you know, I'm trying to tell you that I'm right or whatever, I apologize. I don't want to. I don't want to just go off and have conversations and start diagnosing people or whatever, right? It's important that we are aware of it because it's proven, right? It's proven. It plays out. It plays out. And again, I want both men and women to watch. This is not just a men video, right? Any of my ladies and any of my lady friends who watch, right? Any of them. My aunts, my big sisters, anybody who watches this, right? And for anyone who feel about the gender wars and all of this, right? Anyone who feels a way about men and the gender wars and stuff like that. Jordan Peterson, Lion King, watch it. Watch it. Remember, I think I told y'all that last week. Watch it. Just go watch a couple of YouTube videos. Watch some are 5 minutes, some are 8 minutes, some are 11. Watch a couple of those. Some are 4 minutes. Watch a couple of those and watch them break it down. Watch them break it down. Trust me. Watch it. I've sent some videos to a couple of my friends and we be having conversations. I love the fact that when I'm posting the book pages on my Instagram page, I'm getting feedback from my brother, from my boy Miguel. We was talking about books. He recommended one for me. I sent him one. I had another young lady ask me, yo, what you reading? I told her the book. She said, I'm going to check that out. Right? I'm listening to an audio book right now. And it's important, man. And Miguel said it. Ignorance at this point in 2021, ignorance at this point is a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. Willful ignorance is a choice. You are making a conscious effort to be ignorant. Don't do that. Especially my black kings, right? Especially my brothers. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't be ignorant. It's not going to help us as a community. We're not going to get what we want as a community. And if, especially as men, we're ignorant to things and we just too cool for school or whatever, yo, guess who it impacts? It impacts our women. It impacts our children, which then impacts our community. It's a cause and effect. It's a direct correlation. It's direct. And if we're not armed up, and if we're not preparing, and if we're not aware of the psychological damages, and if we're not aware of these things, yo, we're going to fall. We going to fall. And I love my community. I love my people too much to just see the same thing going on over and over again in these copy and paste narratives and these copy and paste photos and these copy and paste and ideologies and creeds. And I don't want 30 years from now or even 10 years from now, Jalen is going to come on the internet and it's just going to be a copy and paste of what's going on. The year is different, but the imagery is still the same. I don't want that for him. I don't want that for Jade. Jade is bubbling with energy, bursting with energy. She's a genius. She's smart. And I don't want that for her where she has to take on a fight because we dropped the ball. I don't want that. So, ignorance at this point is willful. It's a choice. Don't be ignorant. Don't double down on the ignorance. Don't double down on the creeds. Don't double down on these philosophies. It's all right to let them go. I've had to let go of a lot of different things in my life. I'm still going through the filtering process of filtering out what's for me and what's not for me. Listen, I tell you all the time, one of the reasons why it's Word is Bond, the title of this is Word is Bond, because I give it to you straight. I shoot it straight with everybody. I call it down the middle. I'm honest. You want to have a conversation with me, y'all guys know where to find me. I keep it a buck. Right? I'm a work in progress too. I get it. I'm honest with you guys. And I've had to let go of some things and I'm still a work in progress, having to figure out why I want to let this go or why should I, because it makes things a lot easier. Don't be woefully ignorant. Don't double down on these prideful things. It's alright. It's okay. And I had to learn that over the years, and I want everyone to just embrace that, because it's a dope thing to have these kind of like weights lifted off your shoulder. And I still got a lot of weights left to get off, but it's a dope thing to have these realizations and to have these kind of almost like peaceful, calm moments where, you realize, yo, I was holding on to these things for nothing. But don't get it twisted. The rules ain't fake. They're not fake. They matter. I say it again, the universe and the God you listen to, the universe and the God you believe in, whichever religion you are, it's all ran by order. The world could not survive without order and rules. Couldn't. Science and nature. And that's one of the last things I'll say. I see all the time about, especially the gender pay gap, right? And I was having a conversation with my other homegirl. this week, and we kind of came to some type of agreement, right? And especially the gender pay gap. It's more than just gender. It's more than that. It's more than that. The science bears it out. Just look at nature. Just look at nature. You can't pick and choose when you want science to apply. You can't. We have to get out of that mentality. We can't pick and choose. You can't have it both ways, man. Can't do that. Can't do that. It's all encompassing. Same thing with the versus battle. It's all encompassing. Your stage presence, your health, your ability to remember. They were repeating each other's lyrics. They were repeating each other's lyrics. I was watching just a quick clip of Crooked Eye, Crook's Corner. He was interviewing Eminem, and Eminem was talking about Treach and how dope Treach was as a rapper from Naughty by Nature, and he's off the top of his head spitting Treach's verse. When you love the art, it's all encompassing. He loved the art so much, he's remembering Treach's verse word for word. And when I said I was going to get back to that, one of the reasons why I love M, because of the psychology of things. I was always dope at writing when I was at elementary school. I did the writing club, specialized programs for writing and stuff like that. And the psychology and how people think. I've always just been interested and fond of that and good at that. I can definitely improve as a writer, but I wrote for my school paper and I just understand the lure of pulling someone in with your words. Right? A big part of that is part of my Corona family growing up, doing plays and having to recite speeches and remember stuff. So I'm very grateful for you guys for that. Without y'all, I wouldn't be me. And it ties into the athletes that I love. And one of the reasons why I just love M, because he tells a story. He's one of the greatest storytellers of all time because he's great with words and he knows how to pull you in. It's all encompassing. It's all encompassing. Right? The gender pay gap. It's more than just I am man, hear me roar. I am the dominant species and I have dominion over. It's more than that. It's more. It's a factor because of sin and corruption and peoples and mankind. You're gonna have that, but that's one part. But media and social media is always gonna double and triple and quadruple and quintuple down on it because it's profitable. The trauma, the gender wars, it's profitable. The race wars is profitable. It's confusing. Get you to get your emotions to be at war, tug of war, pulling you back and forth and back and forth. It's a game. It's psychological. That's why I'm stressing, you gotta arm yourself. If you're ignorant, it's by choice. You gotta arm yourself. Watch Jordan Peterson, the Lion King, and watch Jordan Peterson and feminism and gender pay gap. Watch them. They play out. They bear out. The science says so. The data says so. Forget the think piece on Twitter. Forget your home girl who's bitter. Forget your home guy who hasn't grown up yet. Forget them. Get real information. Get science. Get science that has been proven. And forget about color. He's a white guy. This man is a genius. I don't agree with him. He has something on white privilege, right? I don't agree with him on that. I understand what he means when he's describing white privilege, but just by the nature of him being white, he'll never understand what it means to be black. He'll never understand it. But, again, y'all know me. I see both sides. I understand what he means by it. I just don't agree with it. But I understand it. But watch what he's saying. Forget about him being white. Forget about your emotion. Listen to what he's saying, because it's bearing out. It plays out. It's historical. A lot of these things have been around before nature, before mankind was a thing, let alone the 21st century that we're in. Let alone the 21st century that we're in. So, watch him. I'm gonna post some more pages from the book. I'm into the Monahan report about the Negro family. This book was published in 1965, or at least the report. It's 1965. I'm in on it, and I'll definitely report back. Listen, man, like I say, it's important that this page and that this network and that someone fights back and pushes back against the BS. And y'all know how I give it up. I ain't afraid to shake the table, and I'm not afraid to speak my mind, even if it pisses people off. Right? You know? And I'm going to always use my platform how I see fit. And for all the people who have something to say about why I do what I do, mind your business. You're not me. You're never going to be me. You can't be me. You'll never walk my shoes. You'll never know what it's like to be me, what goes on in my head, why I do what I do. You want to look on your page and assume things, go right ahead. Because a lot of you who have these notions about what I say or how I say or how I come off, you've never had a conversation with me, or you're stuck on whatever last conversation you had with me years ago. And a lot of it is pre-dreads, so you don't know me. You don't know me. A lot of y'all, the last conversation that y'all had or the last you've seen of me is before I had dreads. And that's what, 2019? A lot of y'all see my page, you don't have a conversation with me. You don't engage in any conversation with me. You just see me as some ranting, raving guy who needs a journal. Why do I need a journal? Because I'm speaking my mind. You don't tell anybody else to get a journal. I don't need a journal. I don't need a journal. I don't. And I'm not opposed to it, but you're not going to tell me I need it because I post on Instagram. This is my page. And I'm going to always say and do and conduct it how I want. If you don't like it, you don't have to read it. Ain't no gun to nobody's head. You don't got to like it. Like I say, I'm trying not to curse as much as possible, but I'm human. So you don't have to like my cursing. You don't have to like my aggressive tone. You ain't got to like none of that. But at the end of the day, when the words hit the platform and when I speak, it's truth. It's accuracy, things that can be proven with facts, data, science, statistics, because I'm learning from people who are smarter than me. So again, ignorance is a choice. Being willfully ignorant is a choice. And if you're not arming yourself, you're choosing ignorance. And it's not good for our community, especially if you're going to have the pitchforks and then have the outrage that we have and be reactionary about things online. If we're going to be ignorant toward things, we're always going to be repeating the same thing over and over again, and that's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, hoping to get a different result. I've already been insane in certain areas in my own life. I will always make an active decision and choice to not be ignorant in myself going forward as much as possible, and definitely not in my community. That's just real talk. So, like I said at the top, I hope everyone has a good week. I hope people get the clarity and the answers that they're looking for, and if not, hang on, hold on. Anybody having suicidal thoughts or not feeling themselves like they once was, know I love you. I need you. The world needs you. You got something special to offer, and even if it take a little time to get out, it's gonna happen. You gotta face your demons. You gotta face things, and you gotta own it. You gotta just lean into it. Because the more you avoid it, the longer it takes to get to where you go. And you don't want that resentment. You don't want that bitterness. I got some resentment issues that I gotta get over myself too. And there are circumstances and reasons why they aren't where I want them to be, and I'm working on that, right? But you know, it's gonna happen. You just gotta hold on. Like Dory said in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep going. Don't think about it. Just keep going. Right? I got love for everyone. Thank you for the people who are watching and supporting. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everyone. I didn't curse as much this week as in a few episodes past, and I'm grateful for that. Like I said, I'm working on it because I know people are watching. Right? But yeah, I hope everyone has a good week and stay safe.